So we're just going to pick out our A, our H, and our K. Bill, can you help me out? What is the A? What is the H? That's what I'm talking about. So you get 0.2 or 1/5, -5, and then a -2. Okay, so we need to find our 3 points from here. Our line of symmetry, our axis of symmetry, is going to be x equals, shout it out if you know it, -5. All right. Again, that's our line of symmetry or axis of symmetry. Next, we want to find our vertex, which is our max or our min. So in this case, is this going to open up or open down? It's a positive 0.2. Corn? Up. So we know it's going to go up. And when it's up, is it a max or a min? Yeah. And then, Jason, what is our point when it's up min? -5, -2. So that's our second piece of information. And then our last one is we want to find y. To do that, you just plug in, and what do you plug in for 0 there, Haley? Yeah, you just put in 0 for x. Good. So you get 0.2, as Bill told us. 0 plus 5. By the way, Haley, you and Miss Kane are superstars of that video. Oh, wait till you see it come out. It's going to be unbelievable. Superstar. We still have time. It's still being edited if anybody wants to hop in it. Now, today is your last chance. So then you just go real quick. 0.2 times 5 squared minus 2. Mr. TJ, what is 5 squared? Yeah. Minus 2. And then now we get a little bit trickier because half of 25. Well, actually, it's not that tricky. 0.2 of 25. 1/5. What's 25 divided by 5? 5. Yeah, good. And then lastly, what's 5 minus 2? 3. And then we got to pick out our point. Our point is 0, 3. That's it. So everywhere you see circled, highlighted, these are the 3 things you need to graph. That's it. You have these, you could graph. Start with the line of symmetry. So you go to -5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You put a line. Graph your vertex, which, as Jason told us, it's the min in this case. So -5, -2. Put a big old dot. 0, 3. Put a big old dot. Take a look in the mirror. Put a big old dot. Draw your parabola. That's it. I'm not great at these. Wee! Questions on anything from the homework? We feel really comfortable for this moving to Friday? Are we sure? Anybody at home? Questions? Anya, Josh? Anybody?
Nope, I'm good.
You wanted to go over, you didn't get to.
Yeah, even if there's one that you just didn't even get to, whatever, we're here to do it.
Mr. King, how does this look with the submissions?
It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me give it an old discount double check, but
For Progressive discount, double check.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's see here. Let's take a old look-see. Yeah. If you did not get this in, Josh, anybody, make sure that you submit this right now, okay? So go ahead and submit this now. Everybody here in the room, I believe, submitted it. So we should be good to go. All right, we're gonna go to the activity. I'll open it up for us. If you want to go to Google Classroom. Let me see.
I think I'm gonna be quicker than you.
No way.
Oh, yes.
Not gonna happen.
Boom.
Darn.
All right, so if you go to Google Classroom, you're gonna click on the section 4.2, graphing matching activity. And you can send this to the app of your choice, or you could keep it in Google Classroom. Might be a little easier if you send this, if you have Notability, I'd send it to Notability. The Adobe app, send it there as well. There it is. So there's this wonderful table here, and in the table we are going to be analyzing parabolas graphically, which is kind of what we've been doing, except that you're going to be given the graph, and we're literally going to be seeing if we can match an equation and a graph together. So if you scroll down, I'm going to start this with you. So this little table is where our equation is going to go, the vertex, the axis of symmetry, and the graph. But if you go to the third slide, so keep on scrolling down, there are a bunch of equations. These equations can go in any order in your table. It doesn't matter which one you start with. I'm going to start this with you, and I'm going to take this last equation, y equals x squared minus 5. And I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to bring it up into my table. So in your table, the first equation you want to type, write, copy, and paste is x squared minus 5. So we're all going to start with the same equation, and then you can kind of do whatever ones you want in whatever order you choose to do so.
Anybody need help copying and pasting?
Anybody need help copying an equation and then pasting it? So you could write it down as well. All right, so before we find the graph, we're going to answer the other two questions, and then we'll see if we can find the matching graph. Now, this one looks a little weird, which is why I wanted to kind of work through it with you. Here is my equation, x squared minus 5. We need to think about what is the a, h, and k value. The axis of symmetry is still x equals h. The vertex is still h and k. So we're still working with that same form. Peyton, what number is in front of x squared and y equals x squared minus 5? Oh, 1. So a is 1 because it's in x squared form. Usually our equation is y equals a, x minus h squared, and then plus k. What is our equation x squared minus 5 missing? What doesn't it have that it usually has in this vertex form? What's it missing? So looking at this the way it's supposed to be versus this x squared minus 5. What isn't in the x squared minus 5? Haley, what's it missing? Begins with a P. Parentheses. So usually our equation has parentheses, and inside those parentheses is h. Well, we don't have parentheses here. So if there are no parentheses, what do you think that means h is? What number would h be if there are no parentheses?
It's not there.
What number represents something that is not there, Haley? 0. This h is 0. The parentheses aren't there, so the h is 0. So Peyton, what do you think that -5 is then? K. Process of elimination says that -5 is K. So no parentheses means no h. That's 0. That number -5 is the K. It's that little number that's outside of the parentheses that aren't there this time. So now we're going to do the axis of symmetry. And you're going to just write this in. This part isn't matching. We're just kind of filling in some information. That's supposed to be x equals h. Well, Bill, what is h in this case?
0.
So our axis of symmetry is x equals 0. Our vertex is supposed to be h comma k. Bill, what would the vertex be in this problem? 0, -5. All right, so here's where the matching part comes in. We're going to use this vertex. This vertex is 0, -5. And we're going to see if we can match that vertex with the graphs that are down below. So we're going to go to the graphs. You got to scroll down a little bit. And once you scroll down, there are 12 graphs for you. They're labeled 1 through 12, but they aren't in order. So you're going to have to find a graph that has a vertex at 0, -5. Where is 0, -5? Where would that be located on a graph? So if we have a point at 0, -5, where would I typically graph that? Well, the x is 0, and if I have to graph 0, -5, my y value is -5. So that should go down on the y-axis to -5. That means my vertex is going to be on the y-axis. And if you look at number 2 and look at number 5, look at those two problems, number 2 and number 5. Both of these have a vertex on the y-axis, but we need the one that goes down to -5. And if you count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, number 2 is the vertex that moves down to -5. So here's where the cutting part works. I'm going to cut this out, copy it, and then come back to my original and paste my image. And now I have my equation and graph matched. TJ. What's this guy do down here? So you have a box there. Does that copy it then? So what if you trace the graph and then copy it? So this one up here. So you physically trace the graph, I think. There you go. So if you're using the Google Classroom app, if you physically trace over the graph, so if I'm going to make mine a little bolder here. So those of you using the Google Classroom app, if you physically trace the graph, anything that you draw, I'm going to draw in the axes, you can then use the little box feature and copy it. So trace over your graph. You got it? No. So I guess the other option would just be sketching one in up above.
Or you could label.
Yeah, you can label, that would work. Label
You
the
just put
number. Pick the number. Good idea, Mr.
And then
King.
you just write 2.
Write number 2. Yeah,
Write number
that
2.
works. Yeah, you can write number 2 in that box. That would be a lot easier.
That's why they pay me $6.
Whew, thank goodness. So the other option that Mr. King said, this is graph number 2. So it is labeled. So you can just place graph number 2 if you don't have the cut paste feature on Notability. Adobe, that app works pretty nicely too. But yeah, you can just put number 2. So what you're going to do is then go to another equation. And you're going to write another equation.
You should cross off as you go too.
Yep, that's a really good idea. So let's cross this guy off. There we go. So we used him, cross it off. Go to another one. And we could just use the one right next to it. It doesn't matter which one you do. Doesn't matter the order that you go in. So I just picked y equals x squared, negative x squared. So my A, whoops. Got that guy so big. Is negative 1. There is no h and no k in this problem. It's missing everything else. Just has an a value. So my axis of symmetry is 0. My vertex is 0. So you need to pick a graph that has an axis of symmetry of 0 and a vertex at 0, and the a is negative 1. That tells me my graph goes down. So match the graph. See if you can find the graph down below. So this graph goes down because of the negative 1. So if I look down in my options, looking at my choices, which graph goes down and has a vertex at 0, 0? And again, cross it off once we used it. So we already did 2. We're going to cross off 2. It's gone. So then look to see which graph has a vertex at 0, 0. And you can just put number 3. If you have the fancy feature where you can cut and paste, you can use that as well. That was my goal, to use the cutting and pasting, but forgot that not everybody gets the Notability app. So this is option number 3 that you can also just place in here, number 3. So you get 2 done. There's 10 problems for you to match. Mr. King and I will walk around and help. For those of you at home, please ask if you have questions. I would definitely suggest crossing off the graph and the equation once